This is the Angels Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game, right here live on the Locked On Angels YouTube channel, and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever the heck you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, an Angels fan just like you all, and a former credentialed journalist in the LA area. Spent 4 years covering UCLA sports, conducting interviews, sitting in press boxes, all that good stuff, writing articles with the Daily Bruin, and now in year 2 with the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team, like I said, is the Angels, and it's got people like Hector in here saying that we need saving. We've got people like Christopher saying, you should stop supporting the Angels, Gavin. They suck. Go support a good team. They don't deserve this. Angels win says, what now, Gavin? What now? The vibes clearly not great in this one because the Angels, they lose. They lose to the Seattle Mariners of all teams in what a lot of people, including myself, felt like was kind of a must-win game. I mean, let's be honest. How much of a must-win game can a team that's 49-53 coming into the ball game be, right? How much of a must-win game can you have? But it did feel like a must-win game. And we'll talk about why in about 30 seconds. But before we do, a shout out to everybody in here. Of course, I appreciate you guys so much. Even when the Angels have now dropped 4 in a row, there's still a big crowd in here because you guys are the best. Not only the best fans, but also the best, media fan base in the sense that you're a very supportive bunch. So I appreciate you guys being here as always. But without further ado, sure, were there turning points in this game? Was it technically a coin flip game? There it is. Yes, I guess, right? Is there a player of the game or two in this one? Sure, but there's no other way you have to go with this one than big picture, and that's what we're going to do to start this.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Yeah, you have to go big picture. We know what is looming. Exactly 1 week from today, the MLB trade deadline, where many teams that are competing are going to be buying like crazy. It feels like a wide open race in the MLB this year. The Toronto Blue Jays now have the best record in the American League, not the Yankees, not even the Tigers, who have been the best team really in baseball. The Brewers are suddenly the crowns of the NL. The Dodgers had a skid. They're playing okay now. Of course, the Astros, as much as we hate to say it, they're a really impressive organization. They're doing it once again right now. There's going to be teams buying everywhere. But this felt like a game that was going to be the last chance for the Angels to try to put themselves in a category of even considering being a buyer or a neutral team at the deadline, exactly 1 week from today. And the reason why, of course, it's one game. Of course, it's a huge 13-game homestand that includes 7 games against AL West teams, 4 against these Mariners, 3 against the Rangers, and then that trade deadline hits on a Thursday. But this game was the one you had to win, despite that, of course, people are going to be in here saying, why? Why this game? You could win the next 6 in a row, and then, Gavin, you'd look like you'd have egg on your face, right? This was the one you needed to win because of the matchup on the mound. You had your ace, Yusei Kikuchi, when arguably the biggest weak spot of your team is your rotation because you don't even have a 5th starter right now. We already ranted plenty, and the Halo Bros, or just one Halo Bro today, did a great job on the Daily Show this morning talking about how ridiculous it is for a team to not have a 5th starting pitcher and have to have 2 bullpen games in a span of 2 series, right? But you don't have a 5th starter. Your number 4 starter, Kyle Hendricks, is okay. Your number 3 starter, Tyler Anderson, about as up and down as it gets. Your ace, your clear ace, as much as I love Jose Soriano, your clear ace, your only starting pitcher, or your only all-star, is your starting pitcher, your ace, Yusei Kikuchi. So regardless of who's on the other side, right? Skubal could be on the other side. It doesn't matter. This would be the Angels' best chance of winning the game because of how much better Kikuchi is than any other starter other than Soriano, with also how bad your bullpen is, right? But not to mention that the starting pitcher on the other side is the number 5, guys. The number 5. If you have your ace against their number 2, it's an advantage. If you have your ace against their 3 or their 4, but 5, their number 5 starter in their rotation against your ace when you're coming home after getting swept in New York. And yes, is it a bummer that you play in New York on a Wednesday morning and have to fly all the way and play immediately the day after? Yes, but that's baseball. That's life. You had your ace against their number 5. And unfortunately, their number 5 outpitched your ace. So you got no chance. You got no chance. And like you see here, we'll talk about the 9th inning where they almost came back, but why I thought that was a fluke, even if they did come back. But the moral of the story is this was the game you had to win because of that pitching matchup. And because you're coming off a 3-game losing streak where screw the starting matchup. You kind of need to win this game anyways to have your clubhouse not feel like, oh man, my name's going to be called as a guy getting traded pretty soon, right? You can't tell me that a Taylor Ward doesn't come into this series, a Kenley Jansen doesn't come into this series thinking, man, oh man, we really need to win this series or else I might be sleeping in a new bed in a new hotel or a new home or a new apartment the rest of the season. And certainly they're thinking, man, you say we really need you to deal right now today against their 5 because we're not going to win the series if we don't win tonight, period. And unfortunately, Yusei didn't have his best stuff. Their ace, not their ace, their 5, the Angels just didn't really do anything. They scored 1 run off their number 5. And so the moral of the story is this was the game you had to win, and you laid an egg. And you could kind of tell right away, the vibes were not great. You're already going against a Mariners team that's better than you. And they come in, and they're already putting Yusei through it, right? A 1-out single from Julio Rodriguez. Then a wild pitch advances him to second. Then you inherently walk Cal Raleigh. But then there's a double steal. It's second and third with 1 out. Second and third with 1 out. Fortunately, Yusei gets out of it. He strikes out Randy Arozarena on a foul tip that's caught. And then Mitch Garver flies out. And you're somehow second and third, 1 out. You survive. And so if the Angels fell down 1-0, 2-0 in this game where you're already putting so much pressure on Yusei Kikuchi to win this game for you, it would have been a wrap, right? It would have been a wrap. But not only does he get out of that jam, the Angels offense immediately scores. And once again, the Angels roller coaster acts and you get fooled. And maybe you temporarily believe we're going to win this game. Of course we're going to win this game. It's our ace against their 5. You get a 1-out double from Mike Trout. God, you love to see that. Immediately, he's hidden by Nolan Schanuel. An interesting change with the lineup where you have Trout hitting second, Schanuel hitting third. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. The interesting thing there is a couple things. For starters, Mike Trout's been taking a lot of walks. A lot of walks. He's been okay with runners in scoring position, not fantastic. But he's been taking a lot of walks. The on-base percentage is the best. Or is his best attribute right now, or the long ball, which it doesn't really matter where you are in the lineup when you're hitting the long ball because the Angels seem to only hit solo shots anyways, right? So we have Trout hitting second. He immediately gets on via the double, and then Schanuel immediately hits him in. And it's just looking like the vibes are fantastic, right? Yusei survives. You immediately have the change where, yes, you're exactly right, David. You put the contact hitter behind the on-base percentage Trout guy. Exactly. Trout guy. Guy in Trout. Exactly. And it worked immediately. Trout gets on via the double. Schanuel immediately hits him in. It's 1-0 Angels. And then the wheels fall off. And it took quite a while for the wheels to fall off. Scoreless second, third, and fourth from both teams. But then the deathly 5th inning happens. And it felt like Yusei was settling into things right after that rough first. He has a 1-2-3 second. Just gives up 1 hit in the third. The fourth was an interesting one, right? Where you had a walk and a single, but still nothing super crazy. And then in the fifth, things fall apart. And ironically, just like with Hendricks in New York, it's a 2-out rally that just kills the Angels. 2 ground balls, but then Julio Rodriguez hits a solo shot. It was not the best 1-2 pitch, a high and away fastball. I just would have loved to not throw a fastball there in the first place, right? You throw back-to-back fastballs high against Julio Rodriguez. So he's got the timing down. He looked at both of them, and he gets another one in the zone. Unfortunately, but not really surprisingly, he catches up to a fastball and he hits a homer to right field. It wasn't crushed or anything, just 377 feet, but enough to get out. It's 1-1, but then the rally continues. Again, 2 out, single from Cal Raleigh, a 3-1 slider that's just hung right down the middle. You're lucky he doesn't hit that to the moon with the way he's been playing. But then the guy who does cash in, Randy Arozarena, on a wall scraper, low line drive, 376-foot home run, but let's not act like he didn't crush it. 110.4 off the bat, and just like that, it's 3-1 Mariners, and just all of the life is gone. To make matters worse, Mitch Garver immediately hits a double, and then you got to go to the bullpen, right? If Kikuchi doesn't give up the double, you let him pitch. Obviously, he would have gotten through the fifth. I think you probably let him pitch through the sixth. I mean, 3 runs through 5 innings isn't atrocious, right? But you have to take him out, and then I'll be honest, from there, I just gave us no chance. We got the bullpen coming in the 5th inning, down 3-1. I thought this was going to be a 9-3 loss for the Angels. Now, fortunately, the bullpen actually doesn't lay an egg. Fermin does give up a solo shot to Jorge Polanco on just a fastball at the knees. Not a terrible pitch, but not a great pitch. Did like to see that he was able to bounce back after that, get 2 strikeouts and a flyout. Relied heavily on the slider from there. 3 straight sliders against Solano for the strikeout. And then Canzoni's up 3 straight sliders for the strikeout as well. He was kind of hanging all of them, let's be honest, but relied on the slider and then 2 more to get Ben Williamson. He did not throw a fastball after giving up the home run on the fastball. But the moral of the story is the Angels offense just didn't have it, right? Kikuchi, was he great? No. Did you need him to be great? Yes. But you shouldn't have needed him to be as great as we needed, in the sense that you expected more from the Angels offense tonight, and you just didn't get it, right? Outside of a few guys, you just didn't get it from the Angels tonight. 2 hits from Neto, 2 hits from Schanuel, Trout with a hit and 3 walks. But outside of that, Moncada, Taylor, Adele, Darno, and Lamont Wade, all hitless. Rengifo goes 1 for 4, but just not enough going on, and the Angels fall 4-2. We'll talk about that 9th inning rally that almost could have been and why I don't care about it anyways after the break here. But in case you didn't tell by this last 10 minutes of me kind of ranting about what happened, this was the final blow. I don't expect the Angels to now, against the Mariners' best pitchers, suddenly win the next 3 games. Even if they go 2-1 in the next 3, it's not enough to justify buying. Even if they win the next 3, it's not enough to justify buying. This felt like the game you had to win, because then you're creating a scenario where you can maybe win this series and then win the next series and maybe get crazy and decide to do something. But you lost this game. You would have to win of the next 6 games before the deadline, you would have to win at least 4, and that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen. I've been accused of being a homer. I've been accused of being negative. I just keep it real with what I feel, and I don't think the Angels are winning 4 of their next 6 against quality teams like this. We're 5.5 back in the wild card. Fud Alex, you're absolutely right. So a lot of people, including myself, have been pro-sell for the past month, the past 2 months, and now it really feels like you're certain that that's going to happen. So we'll talk about the deadline, later throughout the week. Again, my job is to talk about the game. And naturally, I talk about what I want to talk about. I ended up talking about the deadline plenty, as you all know. The exciting thing is actually exactly a week from today, I'll be going live with John, and we will be talking during the deadline about any moves that do happen. So stay tuned for that live next week. But the moral of the story is a game like today certainly makes it feel like we will be selling during that trade deadline special. But with all that being said, we're going to take our break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Angels 2, Mariners 4. The Halos have lost 4 in a row, and it certainly feels like the wheels are falling off right before the trade deadline. We'll talk about that 9th inning. We'll talk a little bit more about Kikuchi, and then we will certainly look forward to the rest of the series. We'll do all that after our break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, a fun one today for you guys. We got a new sponsor. Yes, we did. And I know you guys sometimes on a night like this where we lose a ball game, you guys enjoy the ad read as much as you enjoy the show. But today's show is brought to you by that new sponsor. It's Game Day Hue. And I personally don't typically wear like hats. I honestly don't typically wear sporting event gear or sports team gear outside of sporting events, right? Like a lot of people are like, Gavin, why don't you wear an Angels jersey on the show? Occasionally I'll wear a Chelsea jersey, but really outside of that, I'm not really a jersey guy when I'm walking around, right? But that's what's unique about Game Day Hue. It's for fans like myself who kind of want to rep the team, but don't want to make any statements, right? I like wearing neutral colors. I wear a lot of black and gray and solids. I'm not wearing stripes. I'm not wearing jerseys in my day-to-day. And that's where Game Day Hue comes in. It makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. They've got really cool stuff. They've got, John was wearing it today on the show. They've got the neutral hats. It's just a solid color with a nice little rope of a different color. So you can sport your Angels colors. Well, if you don't want to wear the big A for some reason, they got golf gear, which I love. You can have a nice red and white golf glove now. You can have a red and white hat, right? They've got cool gear like that, polos, t-shirts, all of that stuff. And the split shade gloves are my favorite, like I said, because it's got the red and the white, the stripes. It's real sporty, real subtle, but you still remind people around you, hey, I'm a fan of this team, right? So right now you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. And today's show is also brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever wish managing your money felt easier with Monarch Money, it certainly can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's very funny that that's already what I say, because I was planning for a big purchase that literally put me in the driver's seat. I just bought a brand new car, not brand new, it's used, but it feels brand new and I love it. But it was certainly a big purchase, and I certainly have been using Monarch Money both before the purchase and now to check my finances. It's like having a personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Back here live, unfortunately, on another losing edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. The Angels have lost 4 in a row after getting swept in New York against the Mets. A couple of games that felt like they could have won. They lost those. And the problem is, when the Angels don't win the coin flip game, boy, oh boy, they're in trouble, because then you get games like this where technically this one looks like a coin flip game. You lose by 2 runs. You actually have the bases loaded. But yeah, you weren't coming through in this one. It just never really felt like the Angels offense was there. You had the 1 run in the first inning where it really made you feel like you did have the Angels, the right Angels today. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point, but you had Trout double, you had Schanuel hit him in. The new lineup was looking perfect there, but then they did nothing for 5 consecutive innings. They did score 1 more time in the 7th inning, but that was really all that was all the Angels had. And even that inning, they got some help, right? 2 outs, then Rengifo gets a base hit, and then there's a balk that advances Rengifo to second base, which then allows him to score on the ensuing base hit from Zach Neto. But that was really all she wrote. In the 9th inning, which we'll talk about quickly, we had an interesting opportunity. Certainly, the Angels get 2 outs to start the ball game, but one of them is a strikeout by Lamont Wade, where he actually gets to first base because it was a wild pitch, which I always laugh at that. For you to get on via a strikeout means it had to have been that bad of a pitch, right? That much in the dirt that an elite catcher like Kyle Raleigh couldn't control it. It was a horrible swing, right? But it got away. Lamont Wade gets to first, And then there's a force out by Rengifo, Neto singles. Then you have first and second for Mike Trout. And you know what everyone's thinking when he comes up? Oh, man, another clutch at bat for Trout. What's he going to do? Well, he never got a shot. 4 balls. He takes his third walk of the ball game. Again, the on-base percentage king, second in the order, feels pretty good. I might even consider leading him off at this point, but feels like Neto's pretty comfortable there. Unfortunately, with the bases juiced, Nolan Schanuel hits kind of a hard hit ball, but kind of shallow, and Arozarena goes down to his knees, pause, and makes the catch with the bases juiced for the third out. And the Angels, unfortunately, don't get any runs. But again, it did not feel like an inning that you deserve to score any runs. Let's be honest. You started the rally via a strikeout where you get on to first base. Then you have a 2-out, 2-on walk to Mike Trout where he doesn't even have to think about swinging. So it didn't really feel like the Angels even really earned that opportunity, and they still weren't able to come through. And that's why, once again, they fall 4-2. Again, quickly talking about Kikuchi and just this game as a whole, for once the home runs hurt the Halos tonight. The Angels don't hit one, and the Mariners hit a pair. They hit 3. They get all 4 of their runs via 3 home runs. The 2-run shot from Arozarena, the biggest swing of the ball game. And that's why the Angels have lost 4 in a row and certainly should be selling at the deadline. I'll be honest, I don't really got much else on this one. I'll quickly go through some comments and we'll wrap this one up. People just talking about everything. Angels win literally said, Gavin, talk about your car. Angels are done. Hilarious. Yeah, but the moral of the story is it's a rough stretch right now for the Angels. You've lost 4. You got tough games ahead against the best pitchers on the Mariners' already talented rotation. And the other thing I somehow forgot to mention this, and it shows everything I'm thinking about. The Mariners made a trade for a slugger. The Mariners acquired Josh Naylor. He will be probably playing tomorrow for the Mariners. So that was another reason. Dang, I butchered my A segment here. Another reason why this was a must-win game tonight is because you're not only going against the worst starter in the rotation for the Mariners, but this is also the worst lineup you will see for the Mariners because guess what? Starting tomorrow, they add Josh Naylor, a big lefty bat, exactly what they need in their lineup. You've got a big righty slugger / contact speed 5-tool player in Julio Rodriguez. You've got another somewhat 5-tool player who somehow was an all-star over Joe Adell and Randy Arozarena. Of course, you've got the huge slugging, switch-hitting superstar catcher in Cal Raleigh. You throw another big slugging lefty in there in Naylor, and it's a really interesting lineup now for the Mariners. So the rich get richer, and guess what? The poor need to get poorer. The Angels need to sell. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. You guys are making me laugh in the comments. Yes, a great question there. I would love to know when Christian Moore is coming back, but they're certainly not going to rush him. Christopher asking me why I don't have my own channel. I'll be honest. I started a UCLA channel last year for about 2 weeks, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, especially when you're working a job and you got this as a second job. It's a lot of work. So the good news is there'll be a lot more content with me with Locked On as we go into the fall, because in addition to the Angels, I'll be doing Locked On Rams, I'll be doing Locked On UCLA, and I'll be doing a basketball game as well. But I appreciate you, Christopher, saying that you would support me. I know a lot of people talk about me in the gym and everything. I actually am starting up a gym Instagram. So if there's something you want to support, I guess you could do that. But Angels lose 4-2. Enough about me. Enough about this team. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night. It's another 6:40-ish first pitch. So Christopher saying don't leave the Angels. I'm not leaving the Angels, Christopher. I will be doing the Locked On Angels postcast the entire season. So hopefully it gets better, or at least we get some interesting prospects to talk about in a week from now. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Christopher is asking me what the gym Instagram is. Look up Gav Fitness, GAV. But yeah, have a great rest of your Thursday. Angels win asking about meetups. I know. It's going to happen soon. I promise. I've been promising this meet and greet on Angels game so long. And then right when it's going to happen, there's funerals in the family, and then there's going home, and then there's me getting in car accidents, and then there's me buying a new car, and now it's me actively doing job stuff there's a lot going on. But I promise it's going to happen very, very soon. And when it does, I will make sure to let you know well in advance so we can all meet up out of the game. But all right, let's wrap it up. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Keep your heads up and go Angels. We'll see what Naylor does against our team tomorrow.